Here we go. We're just setting up right now. Chelsea, you're so much taller.
I know, I'm so much taller in real life. How about a pillow? You
Yes.
want a pillow?
Okay, I'll sit on the pillow. Here we go. Not that that's not embarrassing or anything, because you're gonna watch. Let's talk about live streaming, shall we?
Live streaming.
Yeah, this is live streaming.
Oh, right.
How does it feel to live stream?
Well, Facebook gave me a few emotional choices earlier.
Yeah.
I think I said fabulous. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Because that feels like a real emotion to me.
I was amused. But then I know you're like, you could do that? And I'm like, yes. Although, I guess feeling an emotional tone is kind of a good thing, right?
Oh, we want to make sure that you guys know that...
This is no-no.
This is no-no. This is not my... This is a visitor. If anybody sees this that doesn't need to.
All right, he's my visitor. So we'll be out of here soon.
Yeah, no
In
worries.
case the studio does not allow dogs.
Okay, so we're also going to be taking questions today. So Tina...
Hi. We should say howdy.
Howdy.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, together, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Howdy. Yo.
We're looking
Yo,
at two
homies.
different cameras, which is a little confusing.
Should we put them in the same place?
Well, no, we should just stare into your
Okay.
peaceful yogi. So, let's do introductions.
Perfect.
I'm Tina Hui,
And I'm Chelsea Rustrum.
and we're here to talk about a plethora of things.
Yeah, I think we're both having transitions from one thing to another, right?
Right. I mean, what are you transitioning to?
Well, I've been doing it for a while, but from sharing economy directly as a thought leader, and I guess you could call yourself that. Can you call yourself that?
Sure.
Sure.
I've never done it, but it's...
I know,
it
you
never
can't really say
happened.
that like out loud. As a sharing economy writer and speaker, to thinking more about how we might share value more broadly in the form of equity and governance inside of organizations. So, like, how do we move from not just sharing stuff and our things peer-to-peer, which actually turned into capitalism as usual, to integrating that into the fabric of how we do business, which I think is part of the value structures that create our everyday lives and how we interact with one another. So, like, that's the deeper reason that I actually care about, why I'm doing what I'm doing.
I see. Okay, so why things are being shared, for instance, or created, or...
No, it's more like, if we're going to share, right, like, how do we do it in a long-term way, and how do we integrate that with traditional economics in a way that works for everyone?
What's a use case that you like?
I mean, there's three, I would say, main buckets of things and ways that you can do this. Crowd equity is one. Digital or platform cooperatives are another. Sharing, equity inside of organizations, and then there's some blockchain stuff that's happening that I think is quite interesting. And so, what are you transitioning from?
Thanks, Chelsea. Throw in blockchain. Well, we are transitioning from Follow the Coin used to be all about Bitcoin, and of course, blockchain is kind of a thing that we'll also touch upon as the show kind of evolves and such. But I guess meaningful innovation is more interesting to me now.
Yeah,
and,
what does that mean to you?
Like technologies, projects, organizations, ideas that, what is the point of creating things? What is impactful? What will be useful to human beings?
Yeah.
And make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Along with that, we launched Strong Humans, which is at, obviously stronghumans.com. And that's...
It's a great URL.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Victor. Mathieu, he's the founder of Zenfit, which is amazing.
I know Victor, yeah.
Yeah, and Zenfit, for anybody who's into interesting workouts, it's basically, 20 minutes of high interval training, and then 20 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of meditation, 20 minutes of yoga.
This sounds like my gym routine that I do for myself every day.
But it's only from 1 hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I do 30 minutes, like, whenever I have the time, but yeah.
Well, when we have busy lives, I feel like it's great to be able to just, cram it all in.
Should we talk about the word busy?
Yes.
Is everyone so busy in San Francisco? Is it like is that an identity, or is that a real thing? Like, are you really that busy?
Yes, but I also feel, gosh, are you?
No!
Why are you
I
not
purposely,
busy?
unbusy myself, because...
Well, that's the thing, yeah. The point is, there's a lot of things that want
Yeah.
your attention, but
Yeah.
you actually have to actively try not to be busy. which goes into strong humans, which is like mindfulness,
Yeah.
work-life balance, not stressing yourself out.
So wait, what is the strong humans thing? You didn't really go too deep into that.
We're doing events, and hopefully maybe a column. Collectively, if you're somebody who cares about wellness, I feel like one of the bigger things that is problematic is the busyness or mental health issues or just the stress of not just Silicon Valley, but like working in this modern age, right? Like everything is, we're no longer just, oh, okay, we can log off and go live our lives, which is what, remember when people used to have 9-to-5 jobs? Nowadays, think about it, your boss can ping you at 3 a.m. and be like,
I don't have a boss.
well, those who have bosses
no,
and
it's
teams.
true. It's
and
true.
Can you do this now? And you're like, well, not really, but I can't hide because Facebook Messenger says I'm online right now.
That's why you stay offline, I guess. I don't know. Don't Facebook friend your boss. That's weird.
Well, you want to talk about Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
And how Chelsea just reactivated her Facebook.
So that I could be with all of you.
Why did you deactivate it?
I want to escape the thinking about like what I might post or what might be interesting, or I don't know. I want to just spend more time in nature and less time like in another world that doesn't really exist and it only exists in a technology layer, I guess. I think it's like dieting, right? Like you just stop eating for a little bit and you remember what it's like to eat and like how important food is and like how, I don't know, like you can, or budgeting even. Like if you budget for an entire month and then you have a lot more money all of a sudden, like you're still on that like budgeting frame, right? So I want to dial back my frame when it comes to Facebook, and part of it's just like cutting it out for a minute. Literally like a minute. It was like 20 minutes before you got here.
And then you had to yank it back on so we could live stream.
Yeah.
Wait, someone said something. Brick to the future.
Check out.
Oh, fintech and crypto. Oh, hi, Anthem. Anthem runs a Bitcoin company, gold.
Oh, Alex and Michael. Hello.
So, anyway,
if anybody has any questions, by the way, feel free to ping them on here.
Yeah, hopefully not just plugs. But plugs are great. Let's talk about...
No plugging.
Yeah, well, it's inevitable because it's already happened.
Okay.
But let's talk about meaningful innovation. Like what,
Sure.
and crowd sharing. And why did you make the leap? What did you like about the crowd sharing equity space? Who's doing it?
I mean, I would say like value sharing is more what I'm calling it. And I would call the leap like just thinking about like our hyper growth economy and how we can't keep going that direction, and the fact that like we need to start thinking either post capitalism or in a way that is just more equitable for everyone in the future and is more inclusive, because we're moving towards a future very quickly that is so messy. I mean, we have some results of that currently.
What does that look like? The mess.
Oh.
Overpopulation.
I mean, those
jobs disappearing.
Those are
being
just,
automated.
those are just a few of the things. I would say economic disparity is going to be the largest, right? Like the haves and have-nots. Like what we see today is going to be so much wider if we don't do something different. It's going to be a serfdom. You know, it's going to be like.
It's a really hard conversation to dive into, since it's like that weird transition place where we could guesstimate a bunch of trends and things that might happen, but then what's it actually going to look like, right? Like,
yeah.
When do you think all the jobs are going to, disappear?
I mean, I think we don't actually know the answer to that question.
And then
because
don't know.
exponential technology we haven't really seen yet. We haven't seen the effects of that yet, I don't think. So I don't think our minds work that way. I think our minds work in, Murphy's Law, or just like, in stages or whatever. And
or when it's too late.
Right. And I don't think we're ready for what's about to come. And everybody loves to talk about in the old days when there was horse, they pooped everywhere and people were worried about the flies and disease, and then they were replaced by cars. But each set is not necessarily going to be replaced by a replacement set. It's exponential is totally different.
But imagine, right? Since we're going to go there.
Let's imagine.
The basic universal income model, for instance. I know, I'm sorry.
We love talking to each other about things we don't want to talk about.
Well, just on a brief level. I think, I think this is the time to discuss.
So I just wrote 1,500 words on UBI the other day.
Yeah.
And I'm still rounding out my thoughts and feelings about it. But my general sense is that we need shared production first.
Right.
And until we have shared production and we've figured out like ownership models that work for more people, we can't possibly talk about just giving people a stipend and assuming that that's going to be great.
Right.
Like, are people just going to like hang out on VR and with sex bots and in like alternative worlds, like getting drunk all the time? I mean, we love to talk about like, oh, people will just do so much more art and there will be so much more culture and
they'll
all
read
these
more.
people will have more time. But like, let's think about like our identities and where we get value and meaning and like where we get our ego from currently. And you know, back to your organization that you were talking about earlier, Strong Humans.
Right.
You know,
How
does that play a role?
Innovation, right?
Right. And I think that UBI is quite possibly a technology-centric answer to a very, very human question. And I think that we can do better. I think we can.
What is better? What do you think? Well, let's brainstorm for a second. Like, what could be better? Giving people jobs?
I mean, I don't think it's about jobs, first of all. I think it's like
fulfillment, purpose.
I think literally it's I mean, this is just going to sound like I'm trying to be on brand or something, but I literally think it's about sharing.
You are trying to be on brand. I'll call you out.
No, I do.
Okay. What about sharing? Let's dive into that deeper.
Shared production, like I was saying earlier, like if we don't have a way to share the machines or share like whatever it is that we're creating in
agriculture,
in technological process, like who owns the machine is going to run society.
I know that actually is the scariest part for me right now with everything going on. Is like we have to think about ownership.
Ownership is huge. And I mean, maybe that's not like the type of sharing like you're thinking about when I say sharing, but yeah, we need to think about
who's going to be controlling
better distribution model. Exactly. And like blockchain is an interesting thing to think about within that. What do you think about? Well, I mean,
I know.
I just had a conversation about this earlier today.
I'm chuckling because
about UBI being distributed on the blockchain, and I was like, oh, that might circumvent some of the issues.
I think, well, there's a potential for blockchain to be able to be a great contractual ledger. However, I don't know if in practice anything that's built on there is going to be, sound. Like right now, every technology firm or anything that's touching the internet is getting hacked, right? And so who's to say you can't hack into the blockchain? It's not 100% solid. Who's to say the blockchain will continue to run in the way that it's being run now? Is it going to be decentralized? Can it be,
Could it be owned? Could someone buy the blockchain? Is that a thing?
Well, that's a deeper question we have to ask some people who really are like core devs, I think. But one thing that
who would you say owns the blockchain right now?
My caution flag. I don't know if we could say that any one person or group, but I think there are a big number of people. There's a number of people that basically own a lot of the computing power because they are the ones that are able to actually sit here and have these giant, not blockchain for data centers, right? And so they can have all the cooling systems. They have all of the.
So does that mean that they're creating the checks and balances on like the smart contracts and whatnot, or?
No, they couldn't touch the actual ledger. But I think in terms of who's going to control whether or not the blockchain is able to sustainably be run in the future is a different dialogue to have. Like, because of resources that are needed, right? You need cooling, you need electricity, you need money to be able to run these machines. Yeah. And I mean, it was distributed and decentralized, but right now, I think there's maybe a handful or two of companies that have most of the blockchain data centers. And so that also is the same there's a handful or two of companies or individuals that own the most amount of Bitcoin. So, is it really truly decentralized?
Are there any super rich people that are notable that we could say own X amount of Bitcoin that is creating any kind of?
Am I supposed to name names?
No, but it looks like so obviously that's a thing. That answers my question.
It will be fine.
That's the point. Isn't who is it? It's how.
I'm sure
it's more like how
there are big players in Bitcoin, and they might be the interesting people to ask about what and where they see blockchain or the Bitcoin going in the future, and whether or not it could stay decentralized and sustainable and be what a lot of Bitcoin proponents want it to be, right?
Yeah.
Like a decentralized, autonomous system.
Yeah. I was talking to a guy today that was talking about ICOs, and he was saying that some company just raised $35 million in a minute or something.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people who are in support of Bitcoin and blockchain. So, I mean, some of the bigger players would be like Bitfury Group. You know,
So an ICO, for those of you that don't know,
capital.
is called an initial coin offering, and it's where you, from the way I understand it at least, you start a company with
I love
a coin offering on the blockchain.
You're doing good, yeah.
Right?
That's a great definition. The layman, making it into a layman's term is the hardest part of explaining what Bitcoin and blockchain.
Yeah, I only understand it in layman's terms. So.
Well, then please, how do you, so why?
I'm just learning about this.
Why should anyone be interested in an ICO? From your perspective.
I think it shows a larger picture of what's going on with shared finance, right? Or distributed finance. There definitely is I think, momentum in terms of like whether it be crowd equity or ICOs into how do we create something that exists outside of our current legal systems or on top of it in a different way.
Right. Well, I mean, the one thing that's exciting about Bitcoin and ICOs, cryptocurrencies, are basically that they are the first international currency, right? They don't have a governance. But what the impact is going to be on inflation if, like things like Bitcoin are great or in working in the way that they want it to be. There's a lot of questions about implications about whether or not A, it's going to be implemented the right way, and then B, if it's a system that's working, like what's going to happen, what's the impact on local and international level that people maybe sometimes overlook.
Okay. Cool.
Are there questions?
Oh yeah, there are.
We're
some
nerding
questions.
out here, so let's look at
Long live P2P initiatives.
Self-governance.
Yes, JP. What?
Anthem. Talk
AKB.
about self-governance. We're having two separate
Self-governance.
sets.
Yeah, we have two cameras going here.
Oh gosh, I lost the comment thread. Sorry. Well, this is
Ask
actually.
again.
Please. Anyway, so we were gonna go back into talking about what now next.
Oh, I wanted to ask you another question.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay, what?
And you can ask me if you want to, like.
Are we being?
No, I was just.
Ask away.
My question would be, maybe it's not a question, but
Blockchain
a
self-governance.
topic.
Yeah, that's true to a certain extent.
Oh.
That is true. It's going to be interesting when big major corporations like IBM or Toyota or the government goes in there and starts putting the blockchain to use, I think, with contracts and being like, how
they're
are
gonna put it...
contracts going to be managed, right? Like, are there going to be groups that manage those contracts, and in what way, and what are the protocols and procedures and processes?
I have a question. Maybe this is a dumb question, but is there one blockchain, or could a company have their own internal blockchain?
They could create their own.
Okay, they could, right?
There are actually each cryptocurrency can even. There are people working on different ways to provide different levels of blockchain technology. I think they're in-house and jamming away at what might be solutions. A lot of banking institutions are actually looking into their own blockchains as well.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And IBM Watson, they're all kind of playing with blockchain technology.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on AI?
I like AI a lot.
Yeah.
AI is fun. I mean, what do you think about AI? Well, that's a really broad question.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
Like wow.
Wow. Let's get into it.
Well, I like Alexa a lot.
Alexa. Just kidding. Don't do anything, Alexa.
No, well, she does fun things like Alexa. What's the weather today?
Alexa, turn on the TV.
She's not listening to us.
She just turned on the TV.
Does she?
Yeah.
I didn't notice. She didn't tell me what the weather is, though.
Oh yeah, hear that?
There it is.
There it is.
Don't let her play music, though. She's got very odd music taste right now.
Oh yeah. What?
Try. Look. Alexa, play rock and roll. There's no volume.
Oh, because it's hooked up by a speaker.
What? Well,
Just kidding.
yours is sick.
Oh, here we go. This is rock and roll? Hold on, you guys.
That's what I was talking about. Interesting music genre taste. It's old rock and roll.
This isn't even like parental music.
You don't like it? Is it not rock and roll? Is rock and roll subjective?
Everything is, right?
But yeah, that's the only thing she does kind of funny.
Okay.
She can tell you the weather. I like that. Or set timers for cooking.
Yeah, my only concern is she's always listening, right? Or she, as if she's a person.
Well, technically, it is a female voice.
Do you think, Alexa?
Yeah, I do. I think it's rude not to. What? Is that nerdy of me to say? Of course I do. And I get mad. People come over, they're mad at their own Alexas, and they're like, you suck. And I'm like, hey, don't be mean to her.
So for those of you that are just joining, we're talking about Alexa, the little... Okay, you can't say Alexa when you're around Alexa because it lights up and starts doing things. But the Amazon toy that basically...
AI, artificial intelligence. For people,
toy AI that actually does things that you ask it to do. Like, it'll tell you the news, or in my example, it'll turn on my TV or turn it off.
It'll tell you what's on NPR. Or
you can order pizza.
Yeah. Products on Amazon, of course.
Super useful.
It is an Amazon
and it also
product.
Records all of your conversations.
Do you really think so?
Yeah, it records the last second of every single conversation.
So, yeah. There was actually a murder case, and
I'm sure they go back
replayed what happened.
The entire conversation, right?
Right. But I actually think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
If you think about it, none of our lives are private.
Yeah.
We could talk about that with AI.
Privacy is dead. But I mean,
people
I think we don't actually understand how important privacy, not privacy necessarily, but some form of privacy is to our safety at some point.
Right, I agree, but I also feel like the vast majority of people are not breaking the law in the same ways.
I mean, I don't want to go there. We're not going there.
Okay, let's talk about.
I don't want to talk about the Holocaust.
Well, okay, like Minority Report. Was it bad that it was, it was listening?
Let's talk about...
You're like, stop it. Stop going sci-fi on me.
No, I love sci-fi. It's a new discovery of mine that I love sci-fi. I need to read some sci-fi and watch a ton of it.
You're in tech. You probably love sci-fi your whole life.
I'm not like super tech. That's the funny thing. Like, I love tech as a tool, but I'm not... I don't know, and I've been using tech and building in tech for like 20 years. And like we were talking about this earlier, the human-centric aspect of it and the more relational aspect of the internet and technology.
How do we bring back AI into a relational human way?
Or, broader question, like, what are we building and why, and how does this make us more human?
That's the premise of the collective now. Follow the Coin has become Follow the Coin Labs for all of you Bitcoin blockchain enthusiasts. We have pivoted. I mean, we'll touch upon Bitcoin and blockchain when it's got meaningful implications, but yeah, that's what we pivoted to is what are we building, why, what will be the things that make lives better in the future, what's going to make
So that's a question for you maybe, like what do you think... First question, okay. What do you think makes life better? Second question, how can technology support that?
Okay, I think, well, strong humans. Bringing strong humans back in.
No.
Taking all of that out. But the reason why we're doing all these different things is, like, I think education is always going to be important. I think things like, why are we not training people to think about the routines that we have, right? Like, if we have healthier human beings, like if we have AI remind us to do things like, hey, exercise in the morning, or, make sure to eat breakfast, or, don't forget to wear a jacket because it's going to be freezing today. Things like that, like just self-care, which then leads to happier humans and then human beings.
So you think that self-care, because that's one.
Well, also, when people feel better, they go to work and go to think about things in a much better mind frame, and they're not angry, they're not frustrated, they're not stressed out, and they can actually go and think about solving problems that are beyond, just what's narrowly in front of them.
So we're talking about, like, getting rid of the noise, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Or clearing clutter, basically. Like, just...
Clearing, like, mental clutter, clearing all this stuff that's, like...
Clearing emotional, mental, like, even body-wise. Like, when you're fatigued and you're not exercising, like, exercising is really good for you, you kind of overlook, like, your own mental state, and it gets problematic, right? Like,
yeah.
Ariana Huffington is all about Thrive now, which is all about the same thing, which is, like, take care of the body, and then we could take care of the world better.
It's kind of funny that it's taken this long for us to realize that, like, taking care of, like, our mental, physical, and spiritual being actually is at the center of maybe our ability to contribute. And our ability to contribute is actually just a choice, right? So, like, I don't think that you have to be perfect at any one point to just be generous or loving.
No,
you know?
but you have more capacity to be more generous and loving when you're in a better state of being, right? You're like, okay,
So,
I
like,
feel better. I could go and think about
how does technology get us there?
You know, there's all kinds of different systems. I mean,
or is it not technology?
It might be. It's both. It's going to be technology and people reminding each other to like take better care of each other, take better care of ourselves, take better care of the planet. God forbid.
The planet. Oh, should we talk about the planet?
You know, I thought we were going to do a very nice, like, oh, hey, let's catch up sort of a talk. And now we're, like, diving deep into
Oh, yeah. You haven't hung out at my house.
Now I know. When Chelsea says, let's get together to chat, it's
come on.
not easy going. Yeah, we should talk about the planet.
Okay.
And we should talk about, you know, mental health is a very big thing. Actually, this is May 31st. May was Mental Health Month. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
And so I think it's going to be important that we actually focus in on. It's okay. Dogs are great. Actually, they say
self-care.
Did you know that playing with a dog or pet is actually one of the top? I think Victor was the one that said it was like 4 or 5 best things you could do for your mental health.
Wow.
It's like,
maybe I need a dog.
I'm awesome.
Or a cat.
So, but yeah, what? Oh,
do we have any questions?
Come on, a lot of Bitcoin chat here.
Jeremiah. Type in a question.
Please.
Please.
What have we not talked about? Or what should we talk about?
Oh, we could talk about the femme.
The femme?
The femme.
We're not going to talk about saving the planet?
Oh, we could. I just felt from you that, like, maybe that was a little too...
No, well, we could talk about it. I think we could also talk about better systems of government.
Okay.
And what that looks like.
All right.
But, yeah, more importantly, I feel like right now it's important that we actually support things that could actually help us save the planet, since if the planet dies, we all die. Let's be bleak.
Well, some of the transhumanists would say that we could just go to Mars.
Yeah, let's just go destroy another planet while we're at it. Humans are really great at destroying environments.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, that's my...
No, I mean, I agree. That was just...
really frank, angry side.
That was just a counterpoint. That wasn't my opinion.
That would be terrible. To just go to another planet, populate it, and destroy that.
Disposable planets, anyone? Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe that is the answer. Who knows? There was actually a movie Jennifer Lawrence was just in. What was it called? I forget what it was called. Anyway, I saw it on the airplane, so it's brand new. She's in it, and they are actually traveling to a whole other planet for 20 years. And it has a lot of topics that it touches on, like basic universal income. What if you get locked into what class you're in, and then this poor guy
that's one of my questions.
Is eating cardboard while she's eating like
that's one of my questions with you guys. Like, how do you
delineate?
How do you have any kind of mobility in an economy where there aren't jobs, or where there are highly specialized jobs but no, like, just traditional jobs or jobs that you actually have training for, and you don't have the money to get the training because the training is expensive.
Right. So then you're locked in.
So then you're just like, all right, cool.
Which is kind of
I'll
insane.
just take whatever you give me. Oh wait, you're not giving me anything anymore? Great.
Right. Well, that's what's scary. Which is interesting. Gosh, why can't I remember the name of that movie? It was. I'll put it in the links, because you know, like these sci-fi movies. I'm watching some of them, and I'm like, even Back to the Future. You're like, I never really actually thought about what it would be like to drive in a world where all the cars are flying right now. I don't know if if you live in San Francisco, you understand what the problem is with Uber and Lyft. I mean, it's great that people are able to make an income driving around for now. But, I mean, when you're sitting here with drivers who don't understand the city, it's been mayhem.
Yeah, and the traffic issue, from what I understand, is going to be astronomical, and there's absolutely no plan.
There should be self-driving buses. I mean, who the fuck cares about self-driving
That's going to happen first. That'll happen first. That and trucks.
Promise?
100%. Yeah.
Are they on rails?
I don't know.
I know. I like asking
I don't think they're going to be on rails.
Smart-ass questions. Sorry. Maybe I'm not really proponent of meaningful innovation. Maybe I'm like what am I? I'm like, oh, why are you doing this? Is it meaningful? Is it going to work?
Oh yeah,
Have you thought about this?
That's good. Okay, wait, let's talk about women for a second.
Women.
Wait, no, planet. Planet first.
Okay. Go.
Our oceans are supposedly, maybe someone out there that knows more about this can chime in, going to be acidic in 30 years. Which means that
the air can as well.
Yeah.
Apparently there's an air bubble.
30 years?
Yeah, there's a monoxide
well,
bubble.
I'll be, I don't want to say how old I'll be.
You'll be 21 again.
That's not that far from now.
You're going to be 21 again. Then the world might drastically be hotter. And then we're all going to be like in water world.
Yeah.
Because the polarized caps will melt. Well, then some other people are like, well, that's a good thing because the world is overpopulated now.
Oh, wow, that's compassionate.
Yeah, I've heard that like 7 times last week. It was terrible.
Like at tech events?
Like, about
really?
People. They were like, well, it's overpopulated.
Is that like a libertarian tech fest?
I don't know. I think there was sustainability.
Some of them are.
There's libertarians everywhere.
No, for sure. But what's that one? Future Further?
Further Future.
Further Future.
Yeah.
They were like unabashedly, we're libertarian on their website.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I missed that.
Well, they didn't say we're libertarian, but anyway.
I didn't know that they did that.
Side trail.
Who knew? I mean, are you a libertarian?
No.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm a humanitarian.
Yeah, I think we both are. Obviously. We're sitting here talking about what's going to go wrong. So far in this show, we've touched upon all the things that scare Chelsea and I with meaningful innovation going wrong. Maybe that's the name of our new segment. Our weekly shows are going to be about, okay, this is not going the way we want it to go. We want it to be better.
How to be more human. Yeah.
How do we be more human with robots?
Minus robots.
Minus robots. So you don't think... What do you think about AI?
Oh. It's so much harder to answer questions that you ask.
It's so much fun to ask.
Yeah, it is. Like, great. I think we really need to think about, like what I said earlier, what we're creating and why. And I think that we haven't really thought about that, which just blows my mind. We're just like, oh, exponential technology, more technology is better, it'll make us more efficient, it'll make things run faster, and therefore we'll have more growth, and the economy will be better, and we'll be richer.
We'll solve
but we're not like, then what? Then fucking what?
Then we don't need humans at all. Because all they do is destroy planets.
Which is fine.
No, then we don't need humans. We just destroy planets. Sorry. I mean...
I don't know, maybe we need to ask ourselves deeper and more meaningful spiritual questions.
What are things that would make humanity better, that can maybe be innovated on?
I don't like the word innovation.
Fine.
But
some other word. What's a better word? Technologize?
I mean,
technologize?
I would just ask the question, 1, what does it mean to be human? 2, how do we find our center within that? And technology to me is a tool. It's not the way, right? It's a tool of the way. And I think we need to ask the question outside of the tool.
Right.
So.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with bringing things that are actually meaningful and helpful to scale in a way that is actually going to make a difference. Like, now they have solar-powered machines that clean the oceans, right? But there's one machine in Chicago I know of, and something that a little boy made, which is like being funded, but you're like, okay, but will that solve all of the problems?
So we have an abundance of technology, stuff, food, healthcare resources, but what we don't have is an abundance of distribution, mostly because of the money question.
Right.
So, and the
what
distribution
are we funding?
question.
That's a better question.
Well, back to fucking sharing, like why aren't we sharing, Like, wouldn't that be better for everyone? I'm not suggesting that...
How would you get people to share?
I mean...
And collaborate on good ideas
I'm writing a book about that right now.
Good.
Not about sharing in particular, but about how to create systems of unity within communities. So one of the answers I've come up with is just practicing generosity. Like, literally, I've been cooking for my friends, and hanging out and, you know, starting. One of my other friends, Jenny Feinberg, earlier today, what did she say? She said, go deep, not wide, which I love.
I love that.
So good.
A lot. Yeah.
So, like, start where you are
Follow
with the people that are around you, and just be good to people. And I think that if we're
and honest,
good to ourselves and to the people that are around us, like, that will cascade into our thinking and our feeling and our actions and our systems and our work and our world. And I really want to believe that it's that simple. And that complex.
No, I do too. Clearly, it is complex. It's overwhelming. You're like, I agree, 100%. That's what, you know, I do. But then it's also, we have to constantly be reminded to, be in a good state to be able to do that. Because sometimes when I'm cranky, I don't feel like being that nice to people.
I know.
I'm like, okay, whatever.
I try to stay home and, like, write my demons out.
That's what we could make a list. I mean, so part of the thing that we're doing is like focusing on things that.
Then what, Michael? Then what? On what? Can you type more on that?
What? Thanks.
He's a futurist, by the way.
Then what? On what?
Michael Cillian.
Oh, maybe we could ask him what he feels would fix the future.
Yeah, what do you think would fix the future, Michael? Is he still there? I hope.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Mine has a reminder. Well, so Day One is really great. Have you checked out Day One?
No.
It's a really great journaling app.
Oh.
And it syncs to your phone, so you're like...
A journaling app. I just love writing.
I do too, but like, this is great because it'll like categorize everything and you can look back and be like, I have no idea what I was babbling about. Or BetterHelp, if we're talking about mental health. There, and people are... I think there's a lot of stigma around mental health and mindfulness, and it seems like hippie stuff, but it's actually important, right? Like, when I feel like shit, I don't feel like being nice to people. I'm like, I'm tired. I don't really feel like being here. Why am I even talking about anything, right? Like, you're just in a cranky place. And, you know, the stigma around mental health, if we're going to go back to that for a second, if you're thinking about therapy, want to dive into it, get a little bit nervous about it, check out betterhelp.com.
BetterHelp?
Yeah. You basically can text into, or talk to a person for per minute. And then it's certified therapists that are actually answering your questions 24/7.
Be more silly. It helps. Are we not silly?
I thought we were being a little too silly.
Yeah, me too.
Are we not being silly enough?
I don't know. That's silly. Very, very silly.
We are. What else should we?
I think. Wait, I want to make a comment about what you just said about
please.
BetterHelp and like by the minute help. I think, like, if you're gonna go to therapy, like, commit to it. I went for 2 years, every week, an hour a week, and it's completely fundamentally changed my life and my relationships and the way that I interact with people. So I think, like, while you can get help by the minute, which is great if you've got like
the real thing is
an immediate issue, like.
Well, and that's part of breaking the stigma, right? I love therapy, you know, like, I think everybody should be in therapy, let's be honest. I mean, friends and family are great, but they're biased. And having somebody sit there and be like, you're being, well, why do you think this is coming up? You're like, I don't know. But it's actually really great to be like, okay, why am I having such a hard time with this? Or why do I keep being redundant about that? And you're like, somebody to hold a mirror up and just hear you vent and then kind of be like, well, have you thought about approaching something like this? And you're paying somebody to give you objective advice, and you're like, maybe a friend would be afraid to say that, right? They're like, well, Chelsea, actually, you know.
Oh, yeah. My therapist said all kinds of stuff to me. I was like, what? Yeah. And then I'd have to harbor on it for a week before I went back.
Then you go back and you're like,
yeah, you were right.
Damn it. Yeah, you're like crying. Like, fine, I didn't understand that was why that's showing up in my life. I get it now.
Can we femish? Can we femish with fempower?
I like femish.
What's femish?
We can fempower. Fempire. What do you want to femish? Female empowerment.
I think the future is female, which doesn't mean that it's necessarily female. I just think it's like of the feminine. And I thought it would be fun to jam on that for a second.
There's actually an event about this tomorrow in San Francisco.
Ooh.
Yeah, it says future is female. So
what?
Just kind of...
I made it up. It's my event.
Is that your
No,
event?
it's not my event.
Shit. Didn't do my research, did I? But, no, I agree. Obviously, I do run a small group on Facebook, which you love. which is all female
Right,
supporting
so-
each other from different industries. And I think there is a lot to that. I don't know if like female is the blanket statement to make. I like to try to stay a little bit gender neutral.
Yeah, let's call it
Even though-
yin. We could call it yin.
What are we calling it?
You know, yin and yang.
Oh yeah, yin.
Yin.
Yin is great. Yin is better.
Yin
I-
is just it means basically the feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, we're going back to it. Okay, but anyway.
I mean, it's the dark and the light.
Right.
Whatever.
The light
Right?
is always good. If femme is light and light is femme, or lightness is, I think, is what's going to be the future, because we're going to have to start getting way more, like, giving each other space for thinking about things in a way that is collaborative and community-based and caring and nurturing, which is more
Yeah.
feministic in characteristic.
Yeah, it's not to say that
So-
like, men can't, won't, or are not good at that. That's not the point.
Well, yeah.
To be clear.
Yeah, it's
I
going
don't
to
think
be
it's
more...
about female power. Maybe I misstated it earlier. The future is female.
No, this is an
But-
interesting topic to have, so
Yeah.
we are both being corrected here.
Yeah, we're both being affirmative actioning about this.
Oh yeah, well,
let's be PC. We're an SF.
we're so PC. It's very odd. Well, it's also
If we were in the
Chelsea.
UK, we
You're
would-
getting me back on video for the first. I have to give you a hand because you have just hunted me down to get back on video. It's been a year,
I did hunt you. You hunted me.
and then I hunted you because I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready. But
I'm glad that I'm your first back into it.
yeah, you're my like actual first legit. Well, that's not true. The one and I
What?
did in-person interview. We did one. We were jamming about mobile, but
When?
about like maybe 5 months ago.
No, that doesn't count.
I know. I'm gonna actually. So we're committing
This is the
to
restart. I haven't
talking
done one
about
of these
committing.
since December. Yeah.
talking about committing. This is gonna be a regular show.
Yeah.
Bi-weekly
Yeah.
at least, and
Totally.
getting more content out there. Hopefully, it's
Oh, by
not
the way,
scrambling.
should we talk about this since it's been back there the whole time?
Doesn't Ichigo mean strawberry?
No.
It does in Japan.
Ichigo Iche means, at least in this context, it comes from Japanese tea culture, and it means every moment is a lifetime unto itself, and nothing ever repeats. So, like, it just basically means everything's special, and it's different than every other moment.
I'm gonna be cheeky and be like, but it's recorded, so it will repeat.
It's not repeating because there's different people's perspectives that
On what we
layer
say.
on top of that
Right.
through
I know.
the
I'm
vector
just being
of a
cheeky.
different reality.
Sorry.
I don't know, whatever.
I couldn't hold back, but I love that. It's
Yeah,
a beautiful
yeah,
statement.
yeah. Cool. So, yeah, we've been jamming on sharing economy, value sharing, blockchain.
Lightly. We'll go in depth
Um,
next time. I
yeah.
think this has been a pretty good random jam session. Mostly I have a really weird fear that we have a lot more inside jokes.
What?
Are we just being more... Have we gone in depth with anything? We'll go in depth
I
next
think
time.
we did. And
We'll
think,
pick out things that we're interested in on a bi-weekly basis and be like, let's talk about it.
And we should also, I would love to, I mean, it seems like people are really down to watch, but they're not
Thanks.
necessarily down to ask questions.
That comes later.
What?
They want to hear all the topics and then be like, okay,
Yeah,
I want to
right.
ask. So tell us what topics we should explore more. Like,
Yeah, that would be great. That would be helpful.
only serious things. We'll
We're so
ignore
serious.
some of the more silly things. That's not true at all.
All right.
But thanks for tuning in. Hopefully it wasn't a complete blabberfest.
No,
Dude.
we're awesome. Say something awesome about yourself.
Oh, right.
No.
I'm not good at that either.
I know.
I have a great dog. He's cute.
And a great face.
Oh, thanks.
And a great brain.
You too.
And a really
Your
beautiful,
turn.
and a really beautiful heart.
Aw, your turn.
What? What do I say about myself? Oh, it's so hard to do that.
See? Well, you have a great heart, a great brain, and lots of great intentions. So
Great.
I always love that. So
Yeah.
we're here. We hope you like the show. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Whoop. How do I? This isn't helpful.
Bye.
Oh no. That needs to go away. And we need to finish.